Well, welcome to the Erie Music History Podcast. I'm Chip Shell, and today I have two folks in the audience, in the room here with me. But today it's all about Skip Niebauer. Skip, welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
And sitting here with Skip is Sam Hyman, Skip's longtime friend. How long have you guys been friends?
First time I met Skip, I was 18 years old.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's going back.
So that was 10 years ago.
3 years ago, I think.
3? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, Skip, you have been interviewed so many times over the years. I apologize.
Not really.
Well, I've read plenty of interviews that you've done and seen things in the paper. I mean, for those of you who don't know who Skip Carl Niebauer, does anybody call you Carl?
Yes.
Do they? Who calls you that?
Well, the people I taught, when I were introduced, I told them, Carl. I got away from Skip because I started to I ran into problems with people identifying me with something else, and it just got more confusing.
Hey, my name's Chip, and my real name's Dan. I'm with you, brother. I hear you.
That happens.
Yeah, it gets weird.
His friends call him Skip, though.
Yeah, that's how it is with me. Yeah. Well, you played in a little band called the Arkay IV way back in the day, and a lot of folks remember the Arkay IV.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about what happened after the Arkay IV. What I want to know is, Skip, when you were before the Arkay IV, where'd you go to high school?
Went to prep.
Okay.
And put the band together in 1962. It was a three-piece band.
So you and Bill Arnold and
John Nicotra.
John Nicotra. So how did you know those guys? How did you meet them?
Just we're looking around at people. I was putting a band together, and they said, "Well, this guy's available." John, I went to school with John Nicotra. We're right in the same neighborhood.
Oh,
so
did he go to prep too?
No,
Okay,
we knew him.
all right.
So yeah.
Had you been in any other bands before the Arkay IV?
Well, just jam bands. We weren't trying to get actually jobs.
Right. Because we should point out you were 15 when you started the Arkay IV. So
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And lessons, I mean, were you always a bass player? Did you play guitar?
Yeah, a little bit of guitar. Didn't take lessons very much.
Yeah, no, okay. And so you start the band, the three of you start the band in 62, and you're playing high school dances?
Yeah, well, the thing with it is they recorded music wasn't that great. And if you wanted to have music for something, I mean, people wanted bands.
Yeah.
More than they wanted records.
Right.
So everybody had bands. So it's just like a whole categories that don't exist anymore.
Sure.
Right. That they you had to have a band.
Yep.
You were expected to have a band, so you did. And so you could, especially if you were going to play for very little money, and a lot of times you just wanted to get out in front of people.
Right.
Over the years, I've come to appreciate, that it's one thing practicing, and then as soon as you go out in the crowd, things start happening. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, right.
Well, he didn't know we were supposed to do it. Yeah, here we go.
Did you guys do like the YCO gigs and things like that?
All that stuff.
Really?
Yeah, there was like, we would always do freebies, just to get out in front of the people.
And at first you were the Limbos, right?
Yeah, that was the first name.
And did you play out as the Limbos or?
Yeah, but we found out that connecting your stuff with a dance or a certain type of song really limited you.
Yeah.
What you could do, because they expected
the limbo all the time.
Yeah, right. Or something like that. Yeah.
Right,
so
right.
you just like, oh.
And were you writing your own music right away? Or?
Yeah, I've been writing songs since I was a baby. I mean, I don't know. I always like kind of doing that.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, because I mean, I know of the Arkay IV, and a lot of people do because of all of your original music. But starting out as the Limbos and the Arkay III in this case, you were probably doing some covers. You were doing ventures, or
Oh yeah. Well, that instrumental rock was huge. I mean, that's what it meant to have a band.
Yeah.
For a time period there.
Okay.
That's what you had.
Were you guys singing at all at first?
Very little, but of course that became obvious pretty quick. You had to have somebody sing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the themes that I've noticed through researching your band is you lost a lot of guys to the draft.
Yeah.
And so you quickly lost Bill
Right.
to the draft, and he was with you for about a year or so. In '63, you pick up Tom Brocky.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right? Brocky?
Rocky, yeah.
Okay, on guitar. And then a year later, you become the Arkay IV when you add Bob Sustak?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how
You
does...
did your homework on this.
Oh, I always do my homework. I love it. And so, you become the Arkay IV, and you guys are quickly recording your own music.
Yeah.
Where were you doing that?
We listened. There was a local band that recorded at a local studio, and there was very few studios,
Yeah.
maybe only one.
Do you remember where it was?
Yeah,
What was it called?
on West 8th Street. I can't remember the name of the guy that
Okay.
Is it Hammy?
Carl Hammy?
Hammy might
Yeah.
have been. Yeah,
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard that name.
Yeah.
Okay.
and the guy next, Slavinsky,
Well,
was involved with that.
okay.
He was a partner or brother related somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you went there and recorded?
Well, yeah, no, we listened to the song, what they did, and we weren't particularly. I can't blame the guy because he was just getting new to recording, but it didn't sound right.
Right.
And people said, well, you got to go to a place that is used to doing this stuff. You people that actually made records,
Right,
stuff,
right.
and it's like even records that you've heard, and that wasn't so hard. I mean, you didn't care where you're from, Erie or from New York
Sure.
City. Money's money. So we started doing it at a place in Gateway in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
right on the triangle there.
Yep, right.
And it was second floor above the National Record Mart.
Okay. And you record Little Girl there?
Yeah,
Okay. And that starts getting played on the radio.
right.
You're 16 years old.
They didn't know how to deal with it. They couldn't tell if it was, we can't judge this, but we'll play it anyhow.
Okay.
As opposed to a few years later, it was, we can't judge it and we don't like it, so we're not going to do it anyhow.
How did you know, like back then, how did you get a record on the radio? I mean, did you just go to the DJs and say,
Yeah.
that was it? Yeah. And I know you didn't press a bunch of those, so you didn't have a bunch of them to hand out. So you,
yeah, and that actually worked for us better later when you could go in and just, you have 500.
right.
Instead of handing out a card, you hand out the record,
Right, right. And so that's, like I said, that's Little Girl. That's around September '64. And then Bob gets drafted.
Yeah.
And then you pick up Dave Masello.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dave's playing electric piano, right?
Electric piano, keyboards in general.
Okay. All right. So you got Tom on guitar, Tom Brocky on guitar. You're on bass. Dave's on electric piano, and John's on drums, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And that's sort of the format or
Yeah.
the key guys for a while, right?
A long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And during that long time, like 66 to 69, you release Surprise Love with Another Way on the other side, right?
Yeah.
And then you also, one of the things that I had a question around was we talked about, you getting the recording done, but at the time you think, hey, let's start our own publishing company. So you start Kmart, right? Kmart Music, K-A-Y.
Yeah.
K-Art.
K-Art.
I was saying Kmart.
Right.
That wouldn't be right, would it?
It would be an infringement.
Yeah, that's right. And then Marion Records.
Yeah.
I got to ask, who's Marion? Like,
That was the girlfriend of the lead singers.
oh yeah,
Yeah, with that kind of connection. We needed a name.
all right. I wondered about
That was
that.
how Arkay IV came about. We needed a name. We wanted a nondescript name.
Yeah.
We didn't want to connect it with a dance or,
So you looked at your stereo and it was called an Arkay IV?
It was called, no, it was an amplifier.
Oh, an
company.
amp.
It was an Arkay amp.
Yeah.
Arkay, it was an amp.
Was it spelled the same way?
Yeah.
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 And since there were four of them, it became the Arkay.
Right.
one.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. I wonder if anybody still has any Arkay amps laying around.
I don't know.
I've only seen one.
Really? Yeah.
One. All my travels, there's only been one.
Yeah.
That
So you guys are like, hey, the record business is difficult. Even in 1966, we're starting our own publishing company, And how did that work? I mean, you're still teenagers. I mean,
Yeah, I know. I just talk to people.
Yeah.
I would just I talk to DJs. Well, what do you need to do? And they were mostly surprised by the question, and I always got people to give me answers.
right.
So we were kind of way ahead. I mean, we knew what it had to give you some credibility too.
Absolutely.
When you went and talked to somebody that you seem to know sort of what's going on.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And did anybody else ever record on Marion Records, or was it just
No,
you
it was
guys?
just us.
Okay.
We may have used the name. A couple of people asked us if we could.
Yeah.
For the publicity. And we said, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Sure. We
Interesting.
didn't sign anything. We didn't steal anything. We didn't.
So 67 Bills drafted. So you're back to Tom Brocky, you and Dave and John.
Yeah.
Let's see, 68 Demotion is released as a single.
Yeah.
And the fall of 68, your album For Internal Use Only, which, have you ever seen it, Sam?
I have.
Yeah, I mean, there can't be many of them around, right?
Yeah.
I mean, did you make a lot of them, or?
100, I think.
Okay, that's not a lot.
Yeah, I know, but boy, when you got 100 sitting in your basement for
Oh.
3 years.
That would be stressful, yeah. Was that the first thing that you had pressed, or you had made some of the other 45s?
Oh, the other, yeah. We always got pressings of the. You could get a pretty small number, like 500
Oh, okay.
of the 45s, and we did that.
Interesting story about the Arkay IV album, the LP.
Yeah.
Was the album art, the artwork that was on each album.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit? How did you come up with the art?
The art.
Yeah, the artwork on the album cover.
Well, we just had a party, and we was printed on the one side that said for internal use only, Arkay IV, and then the back side was we just had a party, and everybody
Everybody just drew on them?
drew on them
And painted
and painted.
magic markers and watercolors, and so each one of them was different. And so they've become quite collectible, believe it or not.
I mean, that's why I said, have you ever seen one of these things? So every one probably looks a little different. What'd you say?
More than a little.
Yeah, a little. You said there were 500 of them? That must have been quite a party.
No, 100.
Oh, 100. That's right. Still.
So the band members and girlfriends and wives, and they just all got together and there was probably alcohol involved.
Probably.
Maybe.
Bet, and
Yeah.
we'll leave it at that. And so I have a few of the sleeves
Okay.
that we're keeping for Skip. But if you look online, if you go to the right place, you can see they're worth quite a lot of money.
Really interesting. Was there something already printed on the front and you just did the back?
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was originally going to be the front.
Okay.
It had the name of the album, then there was the back.
Yeah.
There were plain white sleeves, and it said Arkay IV for internal use only on the one side. And
Okay.
it was blank on the other.
Right.
So
Great name for internal use only. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there discussion about that?
No.
No.
Actually, I got more negative feedback.
What, they wanted a cooler name or something?
Yeah,
or?
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how much cooler could it get than every album is customized by the band? I mean, that's great. Have you come across collectors over the years who have said, "Hey, I have one of these"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes they come out from left field.
Yeah.
Like the last time was probably 6 months ago. I got this call from this guy. Said, he was in his 60s and he bought one of these, and I've got your thing from then and that, and he wanted he was going to give it back to me as long as I promised not to sell it.
people for years have called and emailed Skip from all over the world.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have fans all over the world for the Arkay IV, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How?
Well, because what we did is we sent out samples. I think we had 500 of the 45, the 145, and we sent them out to everybody. Famous people, not famous people, just sent them out.
Gotcha.
Which is a big cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of those, it trickled into some funny places.
So there's a lot of business savvy going on here, There's a lot of marketing. There's a lot of thinking. Like you said, I had to go and ask people and everything. How about all your parents? Were they super supportive of you guys at the time?
Well, I was real happy with my parents. They weren't, you should be doing this, you should be doing, but my dad always did what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't mind that.
Eventually they probably...
He used to kind of grumble, remember?
I do.
eventually they probably had to cart you around to some gigs.
Oh, that you know how most people, they don't want to get their kids driving, you know. No, not my fault.
Yeah.
I turned 16 and pulled me out of
Get that license.
get that license.
Where did you grow up in Erie?
Browns Avenue.
Browns Avenue. Okay, so not far from the studio.
Right.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, so we got 68, 69, like I said, and you've got Demotion. It releases a single for internal use only. Is released. Tom Brocky doesn't get drafted. He goes to college.
Right.
So you replace him with, is it Vil?
Bill. Yeah.
Vil Stommers.
Yeah. He changes the spelling of his name occasionally.
Okay.
It's Vill, or it's also Vil.
Yeah, I have seen it both ways.
It's also Vilis,
All right.
which is, I guess, the Polish way you're supposed to say it, whatever language. It
So-
might be Ukrainian, I don't know.
So he's guitar. Is that right? Or
Yeah.
and then Doug Phillips does keys?
No, he's a guitar player.
He's a guitar player. Oh, these are all guitar players. Right. So they all replace Tom.
Yeah,
What's that?
It was Art Phillips? Was
Doug.
it Was it?
Doug. Yeah,
Yeah.
different Doug Phillips than we
there's-
know,
there's a-
obviously.
Yeah.
So Doug, Vil, and Bill are all guitar players who eventually replace Tom.
Yeah.
And Mike Redcliffe comes into the picture.
Yeah, it's around 1968.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was a very popular singer and very, very.
Hell of a singer, Mike.
Yeah,
he is. And
he knows music, and he doesn't just one of these guys. I mean, he kind of understood how it fit into with a band,
Right.
or music, and with the background.
I've been trying to get Mike on the podcast
Okay.
for a while. Yeah, because he's had a long
Yeah.
run, obviously too.
Yeah.
And so, is he with the band for a while, or?
Well, he was always did his own things, whatever he did, and we always got our bookings, and we booked him with the band that we had.
Okay.
And unless it was something special, or for some reason we didn't. But we did include him for different things. You know?
Yeah. And is that how John Imms comes in also as a singer?
Yeah.
Like just kind of filling in here and there?
Yeah, we start out that way, or somebody can't make it or can't do. Some of these jobs used to be, they'd go for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to think of, like a lot of these clubs would go, instead of booking a band now maybe you book a band once a month. They would be twice a week,
Yeah.
3 times a week, 4 times a week. And you knew you'd get a thing where you got to go and commit to
Right.
a month or more, which is stuff we wonder what happened to live music. Well, that's what happened to it. Is the jukebox finally won. It took a long time.
Yeah, I saw that, especially like at the Village Hotel. I saw like appearing nightly.
Yeah.
The Arkay IV, and you're doing two sets or something like that. You're playing till what, 2 a.m. probably, or
Yeah. It was 10 to 2.
10 to 2. Okay. Yeah, when I interviewed John Imms, he had talked about, kind of getting the call and being like, oh, okay, I'm going to play with the Arkay IV. Like, this is a big deal,
Yeah.
But he knew, he'd be filling in for guys like Redcliffe who were great singers at the time too.
Yeah.
So the band kind of grew, right?
Yeah.
You
Grew in size, and sometimes we would have more than, we'd have 7 people on stage.
Yeah.
You got time.
Did it get difficult for you? Because I always envisioned you as the leader. Am I right?
I guess. Yeah.
Kind of the
Yeah.
coordinator. I mean,
Yeah.
did it matter if you had 7 guys or 3 guys? I mean, no. You're
As long as everybody was happy, and it didn't
You were
matter.
either making $2.50 or $17.50.
Yeah.
it was probably thin profits back then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you doing for? Did you have a sound man or
No, we were one of the last ones to.
do everything yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Play right out of your amps.
Well, not only that, but I mean, just we didn't have somebody mixing.
Oh yeah. Right. Lights, nothing. You didn't have any roadies. It was you guys lugging everything.
Pretty much, yeah.
Of course, in those days, a lot of them had the lighting system or just a couple of lights onto the stage. And Skip always had his own sound system.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He always did that himself.
All right. So you were the guy setting everything up before the gig.
Well, I didn't do the. We all lugged the stuff around.
Yeah.
But again, if you have a week or 2 weeks
You
or
just-
a month in a place,
Yeah.
you set it up once and you just go in every night.
Right.
You just flip a switch.
Yep. It's like Ruby Port, playing at the Calabrese Club every night. You know,
Yeah.
don't have to lug anything. Yeah, yeah. It's a different world back then. You know, I mean, so Village Hotel, you played there a lot.
Yeah.
What were some of your favorite places to play back in Erie back in the day?
The Village Hotel was definitely one of them.
Yeah. Why is that? I've never seen pictures of it. Was it big?
Yeah,
or house?
big house. I think it was actually a hotel.
Okay. All right. And so did it have a big stage or what was the deal?
No, well, it had a stage. For one thing, it did actually. In fact, the dance floor was raised, and then the stage was higher again.
Okay. Yeah.
You had to walk up maybe 3 or 4 steps, and there was a fence around the stage area where the people were on, and the other stage area was one fence around there.
Okay. All right.
And then there was another, say, the riser where the people were, and then there was and the band stage was another riser where the drums were.
Sure. Right. Right.
I remember because the trumpeter got real excited. He was up there next to the drums and get excited. All of a sudden, he disappears from view.
Oh,
Walked off
fell right off the.
walked off the back of the stage.
Oh gosh.
Hands come on. Oh man.
You know, playing that much back then, you had to have plenty of those types of stories. You know,
Yeah.
funny stories. I mean, do you remember any other ones that really stand out of back then, like great gigs or horrible gigs?
Yeah, right.
Do you have any of those memories, or like something was your favorite place to play?
Yeah, well, usually the Village Hotel was probably one of the best.
It was. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
They used to play Rainbow Gardens occasionally.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we played there quite a bit. We had the best job we had there, and this was a cake job even to this day. We play out there every Thursday night all summer.
Rainbow Gardens.
Rainbow Gardens, 2 20-minute sets, full pay
Wow.
for the band for like 3.5 months, 4 months.
Wow. Did they have other bands on the bill?
No.
Oh, it was just you guys.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Didn't you open for somebody famous there, or?
Yeah, we might. Well, a lot of times they had people come in for other things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember. I saw something who it was.
I remember there was one. I don't know. I don't know if we played for this back behind this guy or not. But Lou Christie. Do you remember that? Remember that singer?
Lou Christie.
Lightning Strikes. That was his hit.
Okay.
Hit record.
All right.
Yeah, and Lou Christie knew the guys in Erie. He knew Randy Michaels, particular, and was
Radio guys.
The radio DJ
guy.
guys.
And
Yeah.
he was pretty influential, and he got those guys to get a contract, and they started that Lightning Strikes or something. That song became #1 in the country.
Yeah.
So this brought Randy's profile up in the DJ world. That Lou Christie had these 3 girls. He was from Pittsburgh,
Okay.
and he had these 3 girls from Oil City that were his backup band, because they had the Shirelles. They had all these groups. Sometimes the girl was primarily a girl group.
Sure.
Sometimes they were just independent. You get a chorus, you don't have
Yeah.
here, come on down, and they know their act.
Yeah,
And you wouldn't believe how fast those people.
So he was doing that at Rainbow Gardens.
What's that?
He was doing that at Rainbow Gardens.
Yeah,
so-
he was promoting something, and he was there.
Ah, okay.
He opened for him, and Tommy James, I think, too, right? Didn't he open for
Yeah,
James?
yeah.
Tommy James.
There were
Yeah.
several.
Right. Yeah, I remember seeing a few different things. And what I'll do is when I post this episode too, it's on the website, and I post pictures from back in the day. And oftentimes I include advertisements that I've found, and I have a bunch already that I've saved from the newspaper back then.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing, I think, Tommy James for sure. Yeah. Those must have been great times.
Yeah. It was we had a dispute with him. Tommy James.
Yeah.
Erie people are loyal, and this is a small time gig, and all that sort of stuff. And they got up on the stage, and they started bad mouthing us, our equipment, and they're getting, and the crowd is like, and now the crowd is against them.
Yeah, right.
And they pulled in the back. When they pulled in the back, right where the entrance was. And to get our equipment in and out, we could work our way around their cars. So we went And when the thing was over, we went in and we parked our cars in front and behind it, and then went out to get coffee. We come back about an hour and a half later. They were just fuming.
Yeah.
Show those guys.
Show those guys. They didn't. So that was our experience.
So we mentioned a bunch of guys so far, but I didn't want to leave out some guys too. So John Nicotra is replaced by Mark Feinstein, who I know is a photographer.
Yeah.
And then Bill Kirby, who had played in the Calientes, obviously, right around the same time.
Yeah.
I forgot Mark was in the band.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
Short period?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. Summer, maybe the whole summer or more longer.
I didn't even know he was a drummer.
Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still?
Well, he's pretty quiet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that's just it.
All right.
Yeah.
Why so many changes? Guys coming in and out?
Yeah.
How come?
Well, the draft was
Oh,
still
right.
huge. I mean, everybody in that age group, 'cause there was a certain cutoff dates where it became more conspicuous.
Yeah. Right.
That as soon as you dropped out of school for a while, I forget how long it was, or they come looking for you.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
Plus, is that you've played in bands, you know how
I
bands
have.
go.
I do. Oh, yeah. I do.
Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
a little bit of that also.
Stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
You mentioned Rainbow Gardens in 1968. You record a half-hour jam called Live Freak. Remember that?
yeah,
Yeah. Does anybody have a recording of that
outside of me, I don't think.
outside of you? Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's a cool jam, and so that led to one of my questions. You know,
Did you ever hear it?
No, I've never heard it. No,
Okay.
I'd love to. Yeah.
It's in that box of tape.
Yeah, probably is.
It is.
Yeah. You know, one of the weird things that I read during that time was your sound kind of changed. And someone in the paper wrote, like, they were even doing like acid rock and getting heavier and more rock. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Really? Okay. Like what? Like Hendrix?
Yeah, Hendrix for sure.
Oh, yeah? Okay. All right. Because before it was definitely not that type of music.
Right,
You
right.
know, was it just you guys adapting to the times, or was it like, we really enjoy this type of music?
Well, we liked it. We definitely like Hendrix.
Yeah,
I think the music kind of started to grow that way also.
it did.
I mean,
yeah.
they were an original band in a lot of ways also, you know. They
Right.
did covers, but they were also writing their own stuff, and it just kind of evolved, and it was the art of the day as well.
Right. Yeah.
So they were no exception to that.
So you eventually take a break. 1969, you go to Jackson, Mississippi, and work at a studio there.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Did you know somebody down there? Or?
Yeah, the band had played in Erie at the Village Hotel.
Okay.
And that's how I got to meet them. And then they moved, and
They had their own studio down there.
no, but they were very active in recording.
Do you remember who the band was? It's a long time ago.
No, I just give me a second. I could remember it.
Yeah.
Tim Whitsett and the Imperial Show Band.
That's an awesome name.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So you go down there, and what do you do at the studio?
I just kind of hang around, ask questions.
Yeah.
You know. Sometimes
Soak it
I'll
all in?
Say, I'll have you do something, you know.
Yeah. But you went down there to learn the studio world?
Yeah,
Like-
right.
Yeah. Because
you had to go a place where they actually. Went down to Jackson, Mississippi. You was there for a while. And you're dealing with people that they just don't have any exposure to, to that stuff.
Yeah.
You really don't. They probably don't know too much about it. They know their own booking, and that they just don't. You have to find somebody that kind of knows what the.
Yeah. So you learned a lot down there.
Right.
And you come back in less than a year and start American Artist Studios, right?
Right.
In the same spot on 26th Street?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And you reformed the band. Bill Arnold's back. This is 1970. He's in the band for a little while. Dave Masello's on electric piano. Is Bill Kirby your drummer, I think, at this point?
Yeah. At this point, yeah.
Yeah. And
Very colorful character.
Bill? Yeah? How so?
I just I don't know. He would just do things that just. Oh, I remember. This is him. Drum solos. They had a big thing about taking drum solos at that time. I mean, if you're a band, you had a drummer. You had to do. You had to have that part of the show.
Yeah.
Drum solo. And we're playing out there, and I said, all right, Bill, take a solo. So I don't know where he decided to do this, but he decided to do it in slow motion. Instead of, they're always fast songs.
Yeah.
He did it slow. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
He does it like this. Freaks out everybody, including the band.
Yeah, I bet. What's going on?
Yeah.
Well,
that was his idea of a joke, and it was.
Yeah.
A good joke. Yeah.
So you guys play a little bit in 70, May 70, Dave leaves to take a job in Ohio again. You got a lot of, I don't even know who replaces Dave at that point in 70. You guys keep writing, but you aren't performing in 70.
Yeah.
And then you play your last gig, Arts Festival in Akron, Ohio, 71, August of 71.
Yeah.
And that's just the three of you. That's Dave Masello, yourself, and Bill Kirby.
Yeah.
And then you write.
Yeah.
Write music. In September of 71, you have a giant jam. You have a big picnic. The finale rally.
Yeah.
Love the name. Needed to have T-shirts made. That
Yeah,
would have been cool. Do you remember that? I mean,
Yeah.
all the former members come and play. Where was it?
Oh, a piece of property my dad had out in Fairview.
Okay. All right. And people just showed up. You had a bunch of kegs, I imagine, and
Yeah, and it was all word of mouth.
yeah. And so that was the last time that form of Arkay IV played.
Right.
Right. What happens then? 71, I know you start in the band in 76, the Weigeltown Elemental Band, but there's 5 years. What's happening? Are you running a studio? What's going on?
Just doing the studio.
Yeah? You're not playing with anybody?
No.
No?
I can't remember.
And how was the studio life at that point? Were you recording a lot of different types of bands?
Yeah, different bands, and also was doing other things that you can get money for with a recording studio, working with commercials or copying, just duplicating things. I got some duplicating equipment.
Okay.
Things like that.
I think Walt even talked about working with like choruses and churches and things like that sometimes.
Yeah,
or
we didn't. Yeah, we didn't do much of that.
No. Okay. All right. And you weren't a mobile studio either, right?
No.
They had to come there.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 years you're doing that. You're married
No.
at that point?
No.
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 Okay. And like I said, the Weigeltown. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
What the hell's a Weigeltown?
That's the part of Erie, of 26 and Browns Avenue,
That's what it's called?
was a town.
Wow. All right. The Weigeltown.
It was still part of the city of Erie.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that area was called Weigeltown.
So like there's Federal Hill, there's
Federal-
Weigeltown.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Sixth and Parade was Kingstown.
Yeah.
Kingstown. Okay. All right. Well, I love it even more now. So what was the Weigeltown Elemental Band playing? What type of music?
It was all original stuff.
It was?
Yeah, primarily, yeah.
Great stuff. It was great stuff.
You have it recorded that you've heard?
It was an album. They did a
Yeah.
record.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you press a bunch of those or?
Yeah.
They're
All
sitting
right.
in my studio right now.
They're sitting in your studio.
They are.
You have to exercise every few years.
It's a great record, though. And a lot of guest artists. Tom Beam played on that
Yeah.
record.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Who was in the band with you? Weigeltown.
It was just a bunch of people. We didn't,
Well, Kirby was the drummer,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
And,
Bill played, and I played bass.
Okay.
What's his name that played guitar on a couple things, a few things. Bernie DiNardo.
Bernie.
Oh, Bernie
Yeah.
DiNardo. Okay.
Yeah, Bernie.
All right. And did you guys play out or just record?
Just stayed in the studio.
It was mixed by, final mix was done by Arnie Rosenberg, who started Westwood One.
Artie Rosenberg.
Arnie.
Arnie.
Yeah, Arnie's not with us anymore.
Okay. So you sent it off to Arnie wherever he was?
Went there and hung out with Arnie, and they mixed it together.
Where was that at?
Cleveland.
In Cleveland.
Was it agency? No, it wasn't agency.
No, it wasn't. I forget what the name of the studio
Okay.
was.
Didn't you go to Cleveland for the Arkay IV to record some stuff with
Yeah.
a famous guy there, right? Yeah, you know what? Because a lot of this that I got is on the back of that one record that was re-released. It had like the history of the band,
Yeah.
and his name was Cleveland Ken Hammond.
Oh,
He
Hammond.
he was the chief engineer. He had a reputation for cutting hits like Green Tambourine, working with Terry Knight, Grand Funk.
Yeah. What's his name again? Ken Hammond. Oh, yeah.
Ken Hammond.
Boy, oh, boy.
Yeah. So he was a big deal back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys.
He was from Cleveland, though.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
He was at Beechwood, wasn't he? Wasn't he at Beechwood Studio?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had Cleveland Recording Studio. but
Cleveland
maybe-
Recording was where it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you recorded Demotion there. Seemed to be the same.
Thing. Yeah.
I'll Keep on Trying. It said something on the back of that album. It said the mix on Demotion was recorded in 4 channels and it was so complicated everything had to be edited together and from a bunch of tapes or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great sounding record.
Is it?
Oh my God, Demotion's I think my favorite thing that you guys ever did.
Do you have a favorite, Skip?
Yeah. I think that was probably it. Yeah.
Demotion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had it. We couldn't get the band together. Put the band together to record.
Oh, okay.
With what was recorded 4-track, but we had a bunch of 4-track stuff. The same song recorded the same day with the same musicians, the same settings and everything.
Okay.
So, but it was in different sections. So we just this from this, this from that one, like 6 different pieces.
That's
And-
razor splicing, right? I mean,
Yeah. It didn't have digital.
Right.
There's sound effects in that record too. There's a crowd, kind of a crowd roar that's really powerful in the song, and lots of key changes, as I remember.
Yeah.
And that song gets played on the radio. It says here it went to number 24 in the local charts. And I mean, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still 20 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, are people recognizing you? I mean, you guys were popular at the time. Did you go, places say, "Oh, I saw you play last night," or
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
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 All right. So, all right, we're kind of going back and forth. I apologize for chronology, but of course, we're back with the coolest name, how do I say it? Waggletown? Waggletown. Love it.
The spelling is correct, by the way.
All right. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So you're running American Artist. You're playing in Waggletown Elemental Band. That's 76. Next thing I have you doing is around 81, playing with Tim Ely.
And that's when Sam.
Tim Ely, Blue Plate Special.
Yeah.
Blue Plate Special.
What was Blue Plate Special? What type of band?
Same stuff, just different name.
Okay. All right.
A lot of it was blues, and they were together. You guys were together before, like at least 2 or 3 years before I joined the band.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think so too.
Oh, you were in Blue Plate Special.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, because eventually it morphs into the Arkay IV revival, right?
Right.
But Blue Plate Special played out.
Yeah.
Yeah, unlike the Elemental Band.
Right.
Right.
We did.
Okay.
Played out a lot, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the Arkay IV revival is Tim Ely.
Ely.
All right. Tim Ely's on guitar and vocals. Sam, you're playing keys, lead vocals. Kevin McCarthy, your old dog's friend, right? From
McCleary.
McCleary plays on
The
sax.
McCarthy era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
McCarthy.
Ron Morgan's playing trumpet. Skip Carnes is on drums.
Yeah.
So you got 2 Skips in the band?
Yeah.
That's pretty rare.
What was the other guy?
Ron Morgan.
Ron Morgan, trumpet?
No.
Yeah. Well, it was
Another guy on trumpet.
Billy Frigursky played also.
Yeah,
but that
but-
was after that. Art
yeah.
Phillips.
No.
Well, Art Phillips was in that band, I think, wasn't he?
No. I don't
Wasn't
think
he?
so.
Well,
Yeah.
I just wrote the guy's name down on something.
Ron Morgan was in that band
Okay.
at one point, but
Right.
I think Skip's thinking about somebody who was there before.
Yeah.
But
In Blue Plate Special, probably. Yeah. And I don't know who played in that originally. Yeah.
I had a hard time keeping track of all those people even when we were doing it.
Yeah.
Too many people.
So are all these guys, like Ron Morgan, still around?
I guess I haven't
Okay. Yeah.
spoken with him since those days.
Okay. All right. But that band lasts a couple years.
Yeah.
I have it going to 86, but I don't know if it went on beyond that.
No, that's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
And
Because we were playing at remember at the Village? remember playing out there during that time.
At the Village Hotel?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you and Tim did before I was there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I think the Village probably was at the point where it was closing.
Right.
Like
Right.
the
In fact,
early 80s.
we were the last band that played there.
Oh, really?
Huh, that's interesting. We played when I was in the band. We played at the Peninsula Inn a lot,
Yeah.
Ah,
and the old Frontier Saloon.
Yeah.
We played there, and we played Moose clubs and Elks clubs all over the place.
oh, really?
Just one right after another.
Yeah. We used to call them, remember?
Animal clubs. That's right. Another animal club.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah. I also had you playing the Romany room at the Romanian club. That was the Arkay IV. I take that back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That must have been like around 69.
Yeah. I never even knew what that was. I remember seeing that building. I never knew what that sign was. The Roman. I remember seeing the sign. Didn't know what it was for.
Yeah. It was at where? Let's see. Is it, tell me here. Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yep.
11th in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
I don't even know if it's still around. Probably a lot of these
Oh
places.
yeah, the building is.
Is it? Yeah. So yeah, this podcast goes to 1990. I usually end it there, But during all that time, you're playing in the Arkay IV revival. You're continuing to play. You guys play up into the late 80s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the two of you have been friends for a long time. But then you work together at the studio. Is that when I met you, Sam? Right?
We did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And Skip and I have written so much music together.
Yeah.
And worked on it together.
Yeah.
Skip produced at one point. He produced a thing called the band book, and it was basically kind of a manual on how to start and run your own band and be successful in
Really?
gigs, and that did really well. That sold really well, and then he did a series of story books. One was Tales of the
Inland Seas. Yeah.
about the Great Lakes stories of sailing myths and legends of
Really?
the Great Lakes. And another one was a similar approach that centered around trucker lore.
Huh.
Yeah.
And-
Trucking Tales, we called it.
Yeah.
And these were books that came out?
Books on cassette.
Books on-
They were on cassette and CD
Oh, yeah. And where did you sell those?
through bookstores.
Okay.
all over the place.
That seems like a whole other creative outlet for you.
Yeah.
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 I mean, what got you interested in like the sea lore and things like that?
Well, it's mostly stuff I had done and just kind of thought about it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I worked on the ships. I worked on ships, and I knew something about that.
Okay.
Worked as stevedore also.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Like when,
When I was in my 20s.
okay. All right.
Yep.
All right. So you're a musician and a sailor.
Yeah, I guess. Climbing around a ship.
Interesting how we did. There were musical bumpers in between the stories on the trucking tales and the inland sea, the Great Lakes tales, and we had to come up with some kind of music for in between.
Yeah,
and
right.
to start and end the thing. So we set mics up and in the studio, and he grabbed his bass and I played drums, and we just jammed. It's like, okay, let's do something, and he would play some figure and I would play along, and we'd do it for 30 seconds or a minute or two.
Yeah.
And we did hundreds of those things, just one right after the other. And then we'd go back and then we'd produce them a little bit, add guitar, add this
Right.
and that or the other thing.
Huh.
But it was just made up on the spot, the two of us. And Skip was, you were pretty much, we'd start with a bass line. You always came up with a bass line. I just played along. Day after day after day, we just sat in
Doing
there
that type of
doing
stuff.
bumpers for the shows. Yeah.
And Skip, I think when you and I originally talked, being a bass player, I asked you, what do you play? You're a Fender guy too,
Yeah.
right? What do you play now?
Fender.
Still,
Yeah. But I finished Fender Mustang.
oh, you have a Mustang. That's
Yeah.
what it was back then too? Or
Yeah.
were you jazz or P basses or just
Well,
always,
I
always a
had
Mustang?
them. I had lost. One was stolen.
Okay. But those were
P-bass.
never a Rickenbacker guy or anything like that?
No.
No. Yep. I knew I liked you. I liked your name. I like your bass, everything. Perfect. All right. So what did we miss? What did I skip over that you're like, hey, why isn't this guy talking to me about X? Anything?
No, I can't think.
We did another 45 as the Arkay IV revival.
Yeah.
That's right.
I revisited with Arnie Rosenberg and went back to Cleveland
Okay.
at a place called the Sound Factory,
Yep.
which is no longer there.
And you recorded just the 45 or an album?
Just a 45.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did 2 songs. You wrote one, I wrote the B-side. Yours was called Feeling Good Tonight,
Yeah.
and mine was called Every Morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. All right. I remember that was our last 45.
It was.
It was? Okay. Did you press a bunch or?
We did, and they sold pretty well, and they were on jukeboxes all over this region and beyond. Yeah.
And when you say they sell, like I always think of back then, I'm at a gig, I'm selling my 45s there, but you're selling them to who?
Record stores. Pretty
Record stores?
Yeah. Sometimes you had to go through this. Depends on where the record store, if it was locally owned,
Yeah.
then they would buy from a distributor, usually in Buffalo,
Gotcha.
Cleveland, or something like that.
Right.
One of the things that Skip was counseled on very early on, you sort of touched on it a while back, was to hang on to his publishing,
Oh, yeah.
and so he always maintained that. He's a writer publisher with BMI,
Yeah.
and so one of the fortunate things for Skip was he owns all the publishing for
Right.
all that stuff.
That's great.
Still.
Yeah. And that's in the book, I bet. Kind of control your own publishing rights.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that book somewhere around? Do you ever see that? I mean, were there a bunch of them?
No.
I have one,
I'm sure you do. Yeah.
but yeah, and Kevin Benzink actually did the artwork for that book.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, and he might have done the other ones too. I think, maybe not.
I was going to say, Kevin Bensick's done a lot of artwork for a lot of musicians in this
Yes.
town. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be on the podcast someday. He's gathering his notes. He has a lot. He has a lot.
He has a lot of notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
All right. Well, guys, I think that's good. What do you think?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's quite a career. I've been trying to get you on here, as you know, for a long time, and I appreciate Sam's help bringing you down here. This was great. And so what I'll do is, like I said, we're going to end this, and then you guys are going to show me what you brought me, right? Some pictures and stuff like that, and then I'll get that stuff put up on the website when I post this episode. Sound good?
Sounds
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
good. You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening, and special thanks to the JPT Foundation for sponsoring the podcast and for letting us use their events hall once a month for our free music night featuring the fabulous Leftovers. They're a band of longtime Erie musicians who play for an hour and then are followed by 2 hours of an open mic. All the proceeds for the event go to the Second Harvest Food Bank. The music nights are held the first Tuesday of the month from 6 to 9 at the Events Hall, which is located on West 38th Street in the plaza right next to Our Lady of Peace Church. If you like the podcast and would like to help me out, because this is not a money-making endeavor for me, you can contribute a few bucks via Venmo or Patreon. Just go to the Erie Music History Podcast website for the links. And finally, for information on what bands and musicians are playing in Erie and the surrounding area, please check out Jack Stevenson's Two-Man Happy Hour podcast and webpage. Jack gives you all the details you need each week on who is playing where. That's Two-Man Happy Hour podcast. So I'm Chip Shell, and I thank you again for listening to the Erie Music History Podcast.